Hi, YouTube friends. It's Diaper Kiddo Jason, and in a strange plot twist, I'm not here with Domino. She's already gone to bed. She's in the bedroom with my husband asleep. Um, so I just wanted to do another one of those boring talking videos that I like doing so much. Um, Mostly because I had just the most mental day, and so I needed something to kind of I don't know, help settle me down, give me a little free time at home before I have to go back to work. Today was an extremely long day. I found out yesterday that I was going to be required to stay late tonight. Normally we close at 6 p.m. I'm usually out of there about 6:30. I left the campus at 9 o'clock tonight after working a normal full shift. We had an author that was visiting our campus and doing some readings and was going to be doing a book signing, and so it was dropped on me to set up shop and to sell the books of poetry and the writings that he's done for people to get signed. And so today was a very long day. I'm so tired, my feet are hurting so bad. Unfortunately, when I go to these book signings, which hasn't been very often, but looks like it's going to be increasingly more often, unfortunately, I don't get to listen to the author because I'm there with cash and I'm there with merchandise, and so everyone else is sitting inside of an auditorium listening to some nationally renowned author speak, and I'm standing behind a counter for an hour and a half waiting for him to finish talking. So yeah, it's been a very long day. I've been on my legs for, I don't know, probably 11 hours today, and I did get one single break. So I'm tired, but this is my little bit of downtime that I'm going to get before I have to go to sleep and go back to work tomorrow and do it all again. So I wanted to do just a little bit of a video and talk to you guys some. Just talking about some random weird things that I realized that I hadn't really brought up in my videos before. So I sleep on the couch, and my husband sleeps in the bedroom, and Domino takes turns with either one of us, which is a little weird, I know. But I have breathing problems, and I have trouble when I'm sleeping flat. I stop breathing in my sleep, which is super scary. It's a form of sleep apnea, but it's not like what most people would associate with sleep apnea. I'm not heavily obese. I don't have any of the typical things that might cause apnea, but I have extremely like clinically large tonsils, and so my airway collapses in my sleep because my tonsils block my airway. So I've seen doctors about it before, and I mentioned, why can't we just take my tonsils out, like one would think would be the logical solution. And I was told that it's a lot more complicated when you're an adult to have your tonsils taken out, and that's not their first choice. And so instead, I sleep on the recliner portion of the couch so that I'm a little more elevated, and I wake up more rested this way because I'm not spending most of my night fighting to get air. And so because I'm resting better, I wake up with more energy. It's helping me to remain functional. My husband also was getting really, I won't say aggravated because he wasn't upset with me about it, but he was getting frustrated because he was losing sleep, because I would gasp all night and I would toss and turn all night and constantly be moving, and it was something that was keeping him awake. And so this is our sort of long-term temporary solution to the problem, is that I sleep out here on the couch on the recliner, and it definitely has improved the quality of my life, just being elevated at a slight angle. I'm not like super far back, like I know that the camera makes me look like I'm basically laying flat, but like, if you can see, I'm not like super far back compared to the rest of the couch, and so it definitely helps me with my sleep quality. Some of the other things, like, I don't know why, but I was thinking about you guys tonight. I was thinking about my channel, and it occurred to me that, like, there's a lot of things that I haven't mentioned before, and so I just wanted to throw a few things together, like random sort of like bizarre facts about me, I guess. I've lived all over the country. I've lived all over the United States, and I've traveled a lot of places in the world. When I was much younger, I did a lot of traveling. I spent 4 years in New Zealand, which is absolutely my favorite country on earth. Hello, Kiwis. Anybody who's watching from New Zealand, please leave me a comment and say hi. I miss your country so much. You have an amazing country. Oh my God, you have the best food. And the rolling hills. But I lived in Wellington, New Zealand, which is the nation's capital. It's at the bottom of the North Island. New Zealand is made up of 2 islands, North Island and South Island. At the top of the North Island is Auckland, which, if you've heard of any cities in New Zealand, you've heard of Auckland. At the bottom of the North Island is Wellington. The South Island is much less populated. And so I loved living there. That was the first time I ever went horseback riding. That was absolutely my favorite place to live of anywhere that I've ever been. And I miss it so much. And oh my God, do I miss the rugby. I miss my All Blacks. But so if you're watching this and you happen to be a Kiwi, please, leave me a comment, just say hi. I think that would thrill me. But otherwise, I've lived in, so many states. I grew up here in Florida. I've lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've lived in Kansas City, Missouri. I've lived in Los Angeles, California. I've lived outside of Seattle, Washington. I've lived in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've lived in Athens, Georgia. I've lived in Auburn, Alabama. Just sort of kind of all over the place, really. And that's just the places that I've lived. I've also visited the majority of the country, I guess. I've been to Mexico, I've been to Fiji, I've been to China, I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Australia, which, if you're an Aussie, I won't say anything negative about you guys, but there is something deeply, deeply wrong with your country. Everything there is poisonous and wants to kill me. But otherwise, I really enjoyed Australia. We went to Brisbane, and I really enjoyed that. So I've been very well traveled, and I've enjoyed that. Like, less so in recent years. In the past decade, I mean, we've done a little bit of moving around. He and I have, mostly for his work, but mostly just within the Southeast. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina is pretty much the only places that we've been. And I would love to be able to travel a lot more. Like, I that's something that I miss. I feel very tied down to the state of Florida, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I do miss traveling. I miss just being able to uproot and go somewhere, and then potentially live there if I really liked it. So that's a little bit strange, I guess, especially since I wasn't in the military or anything like that. I literally just moved across the country just to experience it, which was similar to why I moved to New Zealand, which was probably the most insane thing I've ever done. Just abandoning my life here in the country that I'm from and moving to a foreign country on the polar opposite side of the planet. And it was one of the best things that I've ever done. And so I really do miss it, and I would love to go back and visit someday. But that's a little strange factoid about me, I guess. And then, like, I'm trying to think what else. There were a whole list of just random facts that I kept coming up with that I was like, why haven't I talked about that in my videos before. I've done a lot of weird jobs over my life, I guess because of moving around so much. I've picked up a lot of really weird experiences. I've been a guard at a drug rehab clinic. I've been an let me see if I can get my title right. It was executive administrative assistant to the vice president of marketing and sales. I had a corner office. It was really posh. I worked for Hewlett Packard in New Zealand. I worked for the New Zealand Ministry of Statistics, Stats and Z. I was the receptionist, basically, and my job was to answer the telephone and answer questions, like basic questions the different people and students and media might have about the country. And the number one question that I got was, how many sheep are there per capita in New Zealand? So just so weird that was like the one question that people from all over the world wanted to know, is how many sheep are there per person. But I've done that. It's sad to even say, but I've put a lot of companies out of business that I've worked for that used to be around and aren't anymore. Once upon a time, when I was just out of high school, I worked for Borders Books, which was the cooler, younger, trendier Barnes & Noble, until they went out of business. I worked for Montgomery Ward, which was at one time a huge company with retail stores and a thriving catalog business, until their CEO embezzled millions of dollars or something like that, and they went out of business. I worked for Books A Million, which was good and bad. I loved the staff that I worked with. Wasn't a big fan of the company. And they're not out of business, but they're so close. I'm not sure that they're going to be around much longer either. Brick and mortar bookstores really just aren't thriving like they once did. Now I work for a college. So I've done call center work. I've done all kinds of clerical and office work. I've worked for a bank. It just, like, my career path has been just bizarre. And in fact, when I applied to work at the college bookstore that I'm at, I thought I was applying for a different job than the one I got. And I'm not really sure how I ended up doing what I'm doing now. It was just completely by accident that I fell into this job. And I really do like it. I enjoy my job. I get very frustrated with it and with the people that I work with sometimes, which I know that's horribly negative, but I feel like I work too much and do too much for the amount of compensation that I get. And it does get very frustrating. The fact that I travel between 3 different counties in Florida, I'm all the time having to go somewhere. I'm the one who runs all the events. And it's a little frustrating because the people that I work with all have kids. And so, of course, none of them can stay late. None of them can travel. And so it always falls on me. And, there's a little bit of a resentment there, I'll admit. There's a little resentment that I didn't breed with you, so the fact that you have kids is not my problem, so why do I have to be the one that's always doing everything, because you just can't. You have to be there for the kids, you have to go home for the kids, you can't come in this early because the kids have to get off to school. And it's that's not really my responsibility if you're not capable of doing your job because you have kids. And I don't mean that to sound quite as bitchy, I guess, as it's probably coming across. But it is a source of frustration. I'm, tonight, finding out yesterday that I was going to have to stay until 9 o'clock tonight when I was fully expecting to be home by 6:30. And that I wasn't going to be able to come in any later today to make it up. I was just going to have a really ridiculously long shift. They knew about that last week, but I found out about it yesterday. And so that's part of my frustration and why I'm wanting to look for another job, is because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm maybe being put upon a little bit, which I don't like feeling. Like, I don't like being resentful about my job, especially something that I enjoy doing as much as I enjoy this. But it's definitely kind of goading me that maybe it's time to move on and find something else. I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I haven't had any advancement. I don't think there's going to be any opportunities for advancement in the near future, and it's definitely something that weighs on me, that I'm working myself to the bone, but I'm not being compensated very much, and I feel a little bit underappreciated and taken advantage of. And I'm sure a lot of you guys that are watching probably feel the same about your employers, because at the end of the day, that's just the nature of work, is they want to get what they can out of you. And it's definitely a back and forth struggle. It's always a fight kind of thing. But that's sort of where I'm at right now, is I'm looking for something different to kind of break up the situation that I'm in, I guess. But I'm not going to be super picky either. As long as, I can find something that's going to be good enough to make sure that our finances are okay. That's really all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a career right now, because I want to go back to school, and I don't want a job to take priority over my education, so maybe once I'm done with school and I'm, in the career, in the field, the industry that I want to go in, then certainly that would be, the time for me to look for a career. But right now, I'm really just looking for a paycheck, and a paycheck that doesn't come with quite the added stress and responsibility that this one does. So that's sort of where I'm at. Let's see, I'm trying to think of anything else that I might be missing that I wanted to tell you guys with this video. I can't really think of anything at the moment. I think that was pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. That's just like random facts about me. Well, I think I mentioned this before. If you watch my bedtime stories videos, then you already know this, but I'm a writer. I've been published. I like to think that I'm a good writer. I'm never going to be National Poet Laureate or anything like that, but I enjoy writing. I find it to be a wonderful creative outlet. But the problem with writing is that it's very difficult and very time consuming. And with the nature of my job and my life and all the constant craziness that comes with both of those, my writing has kind of fallen off in recent years. That was the nice thing about working for Books A Million at the bookstore. I had a lot more free time, I had a lot less responsibility, and I did a lot more writing. Right now I thought I had it here, but I'm working on a novel that I've been working on for many years now. That's coming along. I mean, I don't know, probably about 200 and something pages in. So it's definitely, coming along, and I'm very proud of it. It's something that I find, I have a lot of passion for. And in fact, the one and only tattoo that I have, and I'm going to show you guys, I'm not sure how it'll come across. It's dark in here, but okay, so that's the only tattoo that I have. It's a circle that's been bisected down the middle. Somebody said it looks like the Deadpool logo. I'm not a big comics fan, so I'm going to have to take their word for it, but it's actually from my novel, and it represents two halves that make one whole. And it's something that I put into my story specifically because of my husband, because I really do feel like he's the other half of me. We've been together for July will be 13 years. 13 years we've been together. And he's my best friend. In the entire world, he's my soulmate. He's my best friend. He's my love of my life. He's my number one supporter. He's pretty much like everything that I need in my life. And so I put something in the story that I wanted to represent us. This particular book that I'm writing is something very personal. There's a lot of me in this story, and that's deliberate. Like, I find that I write better if I'm writing from like my own true experiences. It's in no way autobiographical. It's science fiction fantasy, but it's very true to my life, and a lot of myself is in this particular story. And so this symbol is something that appears in the story. And my former brother-in-law was a tattoo artist, and he wanted to give me my first tattoo, and he asked me what I wanted, and I told him, and he laughed and said, "Is that all?" And I said, "Yes, that is all." And so he's not the best tattoo artist, definitely not. It's a little blown out. I need to get it touched up at some point. But it was the one and only thing that I wanted to become a part of my body, because it represents two halves of something that make one perfect whole, and that is my relationship with my husband. So yeah, I have a tattoo. And okay, so I have one piercing. I have my ear pierced. I did not choose to get my ear pierced. I guess arguably I did, but a long time ago, when I was living in Missouri, I had a friend who pierced ears for a living, and she offered to do mine, and I kept saying no and kept saying no, and my mother kept pushing me to get my ear pierced. And she had been harping about me getting my ear pierced since I was like 16. I mean, like all the way back. My mom wanted me to get my ear pierced, and I didn't want to get my ear pierced. And I remember many conversations of me telling her, "No, God gave me enough holes. I don't need any more. Thank you." And I finally broke down, and I was like, you know what? Fine. You know, it'll make her happy. I don't really care at the end of the day. And so I went ahead and got my ear pierced, and I told her, I called her and told her, and I said, "Guess what I did?" And she said, "What did you do?" And I said, "I got my ear pierced." And she said, "Well, that's great." And I said, "Why aren't you more excited about this? You've been pushing me to get my ear pierced for years." And she said, "Well, there's no point in it now." And I said, "What do you mean there's no point in it? Like, you wanted me to get my ear pierced." And she said, "Yeah, because I wanted it to piss your father off, but he got his pierced." And so, like, this is my mother. This is my insane mother, who insisted that I get my ear pierced because it was going to piss my father off, who my mother was married to until the day he died. Like, and they were very close. But they had this weird sort of, like, very strong marriage, but it was one based on constantly picking at each other, and that was how they like flirted. And so, like, my mother insisting on me getting my ear pierced to piss off my father, and then he beat me to the punch apparently and had his pierced, and she's like, "Well, now there's no point in you getting yours done because he had his done." It was just the strangest thing. But that's really about all. I just wanted to kind of chat with you guys a little bit. This has been a kind of nice sort of downtime moment for me, to be able to settle down before bed, because it is now time for me to go to sleep. I will be waking up in 7 hours and 54 minutes. That's awesome. Yeah, so like I really haven't done much since I got home other than eat and get changed out of my work clothes and into my comfy teddy bear. But I wanted to do this as sort of my like one little bit of activity that I got tonight at home, just because I miss making videos for you guys. And things are sort of settling down as long as I don't choke my boss to death or anything crazy like that. Things are settling down, and so hopefully my content will be a little more regular, a little more evenly spaced out, I guess, as opposed to the rare occasion that I'm able to make a video. And so, like, in good faith, I wanted to do something tonight to show you guys that I really am making content, I promise. It may not be the most interesting content, and God, I look a mess, but I am making content at least. So that's really about it. Gosh, I really do look awful. Wow. I'm so tired, guys. Like, you just don't know. I am so exhausted. I don't want any more days like today for a while. But luckily, it's Thursday night, the day after Valentine's Day. So tomorrow's Friday. I'm not going to post this until tomorrow, obviously, but tomorrow is Friday, and I have to work a very long shift tomorrow, and then I'm done for the week. And then I get to have 2 blissful days of not dealing with other people's problems, which is going to be really fantastic. So that's about it for tonight, guys. If you manage to slog through, I guess, 30 minutes close to a video, I appreciate your diligence. You definitely get an A for effort. But I will do more interesting, I'm sure, videos that aren't me laying on the couch drooling onto the camera while I'm fighting off sleep in the future. If you have any ideas for something that you might like to see, let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do for you guys. In the meantime, I'm gonna keep racking my brain to come up with interesting things that aren't the same videos that everybody else has done before. And yeah, that's about it. So, like, I guess I'm just gonna go to sleep now. It's not gonna take but like a minute. So, thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.